All right. So for our presentation, we're going to be talking about turf grass pests. So insects and turf. Turf can provide a habitat for a number of species of insects, whether that be beneficial or non-beneficial. And various species are considered pests and can cause problems on lawns, golf courses, and sports turf. There's a lot of different insects, as we said, that live in turf and grass, and a lot of them include chinch bugs, white grubs, bluegrass billbugs, sod webworms, etc. And we're going to be talking about several others today.
So I did mine on chinch bugs. Chinch bugs are found mostly in the southern parts of the United States. They really like their warm and moist climates. They do a lot of damage to your grass with going in there, and they stick their fangs into the grass and leaving a toxin behind. Most of the control it can do is just you have to get a pesticide, and then you have to do whatever the label says for that, and just do that accordingly. Most of them say put it down and then keep it watered regularly. Repairing your turf could be pretty simple. It's just putting down fertilizer, watering it regularly, keeping that very moist. And when you're mowing in the summertime, make sure it's at a high cut, giving that plant keeping its nutrients and not damaging it, taking away any of the resources it needs. They have a very fast reproductive system. Their lifespan's about 7 to 8 weeks, and they lay about 300 eggs. And it's very, very fast. Some of their predators are a big-eyed bug, ladybugs, ants, and ground beetles. Now, one of the ways you can identify if you have chinch bug problems is they like warm, so they're going to try to go around your street and concrete. So it's going to be kind of around your sidewalks is where you're going to have most of your problems. It's not going to be out in the middle of your yard. They're going to have a yellow ring around the damaged area, and that's going to be matted down. It's kind of almost look like hay, and it's going to be very ugly. It's going to have a lot of thatch to it. Some of the younger chinch bugs are going to have a white stripe. They're going to be orange on them. And early into adulthood for them, they're going to look like the picture on the left, but they're not going to have any wings on them. And that just sums up the chinch bug for you.
So I did armyworm. The scientific name is Spotaptera frugipera. They come in many different colors, like yellow, green, brown, gray, greenish yellow, like the picture in the bottom left. The armyworm is native to North America. They're usually found east of the Rocky Mountains and go northward into southern Canada, but they're not really a big fan of the cold, so they like to move to southern states like Florida for the winter. They're spreading all around the world, like Africa, Australia, and the places overseas. They get their names from their behavior of moving across fields in an army-like fashion. They also like to destroy crops like corn, soybeans, and etc. The damage they cause besides the crops and the corn are in your lawns. When they feed on your lawn, they leave brown patches in the lawn, and it is not common to eat more like a whole lawn in a couple of days if you don't kill them. How you manage them? Managing armyworms is pretty simple. They are surface feeders, so they're easily controlled by insecticides. Well, if you identify them early enough, and an example of an insecticide would be Otho Bug Begone Insect Killer. How the repairs you need to do, I mean, pretty simple. Like you just put fertilizer down and water, just keep doing that. But unless they kill if you don't kill them fast enough, they can kill your lawn completely. And you just gotta, I mean, you're just gonna have to spend more time putting out fertilizer and water. And the cost for the damage, it just depends on what you do. I mean, it just depends how much it costs for the fertilizer and the water, I guess, unless they kill it just depends on how much it costs for everything. And that's it.
So I did the green June bug. Its scientific name is Cotinus nitida. This is a green and orange beetle that is found in eastern and southern United States, also found in southern Canada. The green June bug, actually, the adult isn't what does most of the damage. It's the grub that feeds on the layer of thatch underneath the grass. When feeding, this larvae will eat in tunneling, and it'll loosen the thatch, causing unhealthy growth. To treat these, you can do a couple different methods. Sometimes aerification will work, breaking up, the feeding patterns and things like that of the larvae, and also killing it. There's also a disease that kills these. It works and the effective rate is like 2 to 3 years, but it'll last maybe up to 10 years. And to specify exactly, control is more of a specific activity done. It's not more of like you have to look for specific tracks or signs of these. It's not such a broad, spray. To identify, you can look for mounds or tracks across greens and watch for birds feeding in specific areas. Robins are a good sign. Looking for specific turf damage in small areas and consider the control options for the signs you see. Applying the disease might be better on fairways or larger options like that, and the aerification might be better on like the greens and whatnot. To remove dead grubs, you might want to pull up the soil or the turf itself, or relay new ones like sod. And that about sums it up for the green June bug.
So next up, we got the black cutworm, otherwise known as its scientific name, Agrotis ypsilon. It is a lepidopteran larvae that over metamorphosis, over its lifespan, becomes the dark swordgrass moth or the black cutworm moth. But like many of these pests, the larvae is the pest stage. And it's actually known for being a corn pest, but it can destroy low cut grasses, such as are on greens, tee boxes, and fairways on golf courses. So the way you can identify these, they have a kind of a dark black head, and they look kind of very similar to like things like armyworms and stuff like that. But they actually hatch from their eggs, burrow into the ground, and emerge at night to feed on grass. Now, you really can't see in like longer grasses, you really can't see the damage. They're practically harmless in longer grasses. But it's when they get to the shorter grass level, it's when they can definitely cause the most damage. Way you can detect these, if you think you have a problem on a green or tee box or something, you can go around with some Dawn dish soap mixture with some water and put it down in various spots, and within a few minutes these things should emerge. and then you have a problem. And so there's various ways to manage these. First is cultural, so proper daily mowing. What's interesting about the black cutworm moth is that it actually lays its eggs one at a time on the tips of grass blades, versus when it lays its eggs in corn, it actually lays its eggs in clusters. Not really sure why that is. My only guess would be that there's just more plant material on corn for their larvae to eat in order to survive. Whereas on a grass blade, there's not that much, so they're just going to lay one egg. And so, yeah, daily mowing, proper top dressing after aeration can also prevent these. But another way to control these, and kind of more costly way, I would say, is just utilizing parasitic nematodes. They, they'll get in there and kill them for sure. And last resort, this is typically a curative strategy. If you have a really bad problem, or there's various insecticides you can use, and as you can see here, we have a black cutworm larva, just kind of munching on some grass around it, and you can see kind of that brown dead grass that's around there. And here's a photo of just, they kind of look like little aeration holes, but they crawl out at night, kind of like zombies. But they're they can cause some significant damage if left untreated.
Okay, so I did ants. The scientific name is Formidia. Ants live in colonies and can have 1 to 10 million ants inside their hill or colonies. Ants use their mandibles to carry food, build structures, and defense weapons, and also to manipulate objects like leaves, sticks. And ants can damage greens and tee boxes with their mounds and the spreading of sand to cover grass. It can also dull the blades of our equipment. They can also manipulate the grass to cover a wider area, which affects the growth of the grass, and then depending on the size of the mounds, can kill or spread diseases throughout the grass. And they're also a damage to us if we're stepping foot on the greens or the tee boxes, and we step on their mounds or something and they come to attack us or stuff like that. And stuff that we can do to prevent it is, certain insecticides, ant killer, and, just kind of blowing off those ant mounds as they come, trying to get them spread away from the lower cut grass and into the higher turf cut. But that's about it.
Another common turf pest is a species of scarab beetle called the black turfgrass Atanius, sometimes just referred to as BTA, or the Latin Atanius speculus. It's fairly widespread, being found in 41 states in the United States, and having documented damage to golf courses in 23 of them. Atanius speculus, in its mature form, has an elongated oblong body shape ranging from 3.6 to 5.5 millimeters in length, and 1.7 to 2.4 millimeters in width, with a shiny black color, and you can see that picture off to the side. This pest is one of the smallest that affects turf grass. It's equipped with elytra that are laterally grooved with small punctures. Atanius speculus is often confused for ground beetles, which are actually larger in size and have longer, thinner antennae. In its immature form, in the top left, Atanius speculus is a small grub, less than a 1/4 inch in length. It's white or transparent in color with 6 legs and a brown head. These small grubs can be confused with other scarab beetle larvae, such as masked Schaefers and Japanese beetles. However, Atanius speculus larvae are much smaller. This pest goes through a complete metamorphosis with 4 stages: egg, larva, pupa, and then the adult stage. The larval stage is where the damage to turf grass occurs. The grubs devour root systems of turf grasses and can cause small areas of maintained turf to wilt and die. And if there are any additional stresses, this can lead to large amounts of turf loss. The damages can cost quite a bit of money, especially if major damage occurs on golf course greens. The damage from these larvae are most commonly found on golf course fairways, greens, and tees. Mostly any area of the golf course with low cut and well-maintained turf grass. The easiest way to locate these grubs before excessive damage occurs is to examine areas of the turf and tug on it with your hands. Early indications of grub damage may include loose turf, patchy areas of wilting, and discolored or stressed turf that does not respond to irrigation at all. Damage occurs in late spring, all throughout the summertime and early fall, as long as temperatures are around 60 degrees Fahrenheit or higher. Animals such as skunks and raccoons can also cause secondary damage to the turf by tearing it up while looking for larvae to eat. These pests can be maintained through proper management and control. It's very important to avoid unnecessary stresses on vulnerable turf grasses as much as possible. This can be achieved by proper irrigation, good drainage, and limited traffic. If there is already a substantial population of these pests, then it may be beneficial to target the grubs with insecticide in late spring and early summer after temperatures have reached the 60-degree Fahrenheit threshold for grubs to become active. Most turfgrass managers have been able to control Ataneus speculus larvae with the same practices they use against Japanese beetles and masked Schaefer larvae. Insecticides such as Dilox and Acelepryn have been successful at managing and immensely reducing the presence of these grubs in turfgrass cultures. And then on the next slide, got some pictures of damage. So on the left there, you've got some browning out on a fairway. And then on the right side, you've got some exposed grubs under the turf grass. You can see how small they are. So in conclusion, managing pests such as these is important to maintaining healthy turf on golf courses, sports fields, and even your lawn. So thank you for listening to our presentation.